Many people think of Bitcoin and immediately dismiss it because they think it's not good for the environment, it uses too much energy, or produces too much e-waste. You'd be surprised, it's not as bad as you think, and it's been consistently getting better, and even helping fund sustainable energy build-out. Obviously, Bitcoin mining has had some negative impact. A popular example is from Hood, Texas, where Bitcoin mining company Mara Holdings has been operating a Bitcoin mine directly next to a rural community since 2022. The residents there describe it as like standing on a runway or standing at the edge of Niagara Falls, and have reported sleep loss, headaches, and stress. One resident, Danny Lakey, lives 600 meters away from the mine and says he cannot sit out on the porch and watch the sun go down every day because of the noise making it hard to relax. Neighbors sued and even tried to form their own town just to get the legal power to regulate the noise, but that vote failed this past November. Mara has invested in a sound wall and quieter liquid cooling systems, but the dispute is still ongoing. Mara says the site is properly zoned and that independent sound studies show it operates within the legal limits, although residents have disputed these claims in ongoing lawsuits. If true, legal compliance didn't stop harm to local residents. This example is a reminder that any industrial centers like mining, data centers, power plants, and factories have noise standards that account for the people who live nearby. Currently, Bitcoin uses about 148 terawatts of energy per year, which is about 0.5% of total global electricity usage. To put that in context, in 2018, global refrigerators used roughly 500 terawatts of energy that year, which was roughly 2% of global electricity usage. Global lighting uses roughly 2,500 to 3,000 terawatts of energy each year, roughly 8 to 12% of global energy usage, and the gold industry roughly uses 240 terawatts. If you compare Bitcoin's energy usage to fiat's energy usage, fiat uses more energy than Bitcoin does. The most recent study I could find on this is from 2021. Galaxy Digital released a report then finding that the banking sector used roughly 263 terawatts of energy by examining 4 components: bank data centers, bank branches, ATMs, and card network data centers. Now, this fiat number doesn't consider the military expenditure and energy use required to maintain the security of the currency and the banking system. Bitcoin doesn't need a military to protect it or to enforce its use. Its adoption is voluntary, bottom up, and not backed by state force like fiat is. Fiat's true cost arguably includes the military and enforcement infrastructure required to maintain it, something that Bitcoin's number will never have to include. There's no way to easily determine what types of energy and how much energy other sectors use, like the banking system. Bitcoin mining is one of the only industries that has a transparent, third-party verified, sector-wide energy mix breakdown. Banks can claim we're green in their energy reports, but there's no independent audit of the aggregate global banking sector's energy sourcing like there is with Bitcoin. This transparency lets us see that Bitcoin is becoming cleaner every single year. Back in 2020, China controlled about 65% of all Bitcoin mining, and that Bitcoin mining ran on 40% coal and 33% hydro. Then in 2021, China banned mining entirely. Miners had to relocate to grids that had capacity, which ended up being mostly in Kazakhstan and the United States. Hydropower's share collapsed that year to around 18%. That year, Cambridge University's study found that sustainable energy use across the whole network had fallen to just 37%. In 2024, research found that Bitcoin's energy use was 52% renewable, with hydro at 23%, wind at 15%, nuclear at 9%, solar at 3%, and a small handful of other renewables. Natural gas is still the single largest source, sitting at 38%. So the honest story is Bitcoin wasn't always clean. A temporary geopolitical shock caused it to become dirtier. But once miners relocated and chose where they wanted to operate, they moved towards cheap, clean power. Bitcoin miners are constantly looking for the cheapest energy available, which is usually stranded energy and renewables. Stranded energy is just power that is being generated but has nowhere to go and is being wasted. Bitcoin miners have the unique feature where they can be placed anywhere as long as they have power. Their location doesn't matter. They can be put in remote locations and use satellites to communicate with the network. This feature has allowed people to fund energy build-out where it wouldn't otherwise be economically possible. One example where Bitcoin mining is helping is in Zambia at the Zangaminya power plant. The plant was initially built using charity donations in the early 2000s, and it now serves electricity to over 15,000 people. The project initially wasn't able to make ends meet due to slow adoption, but Bitcoin mining has been transformational to the business. Daniel, the operator of the plant, says every day we are wasting over half of the energy we could generate, which also meant we're not earning from that to meet our operating expenses. We needed a major use of power in the area, and that's where the game-changing partnership with Gridless came in. 30% of the plant's revenue as of March 2025 came from Bitcoin mining and had the side effect of keeping energy prices low for the local community. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo's Virguna National Park, park rangers used stranded hydropower to mine Bitcoin, which helped fund conservation and community programs for nearly 5 million people living near the reserve. The company Gridless says it used Bitcoin mining to power nearly 1,200 homes in Zambia, 1,800 in Malawi, and 5,000 in Kenya, as well as be able to drop the price of electricity from 35 cents to 25 cents at one of its hydroelectric plants, once mining revenues subsidized it. Not only are Bitcoin miners reducing their usage of dirty energy, helping fund clean energy, and bringing energy to otherwise off-grid locations, they are also becoming more efficient. This is due to semiconductor process node shrinkage, reduce the size of the chip for less energy wasted as heat, and cooling technology improvements where chips are now water-cooled or immersion-cooled. As you can see here, it takes less energy over time to produce the same hash rate, or the number of computations per second, so the network is becoming more secure with less energy. Not only is it becoming more efficient, but it's also helping to stabilize the grid. Bitcoin miners can be powered up and down within a few seconds. So when there's excess power, they can be powered on and use the excess energy and powered off when the energy is needed elsewhere. This keeps the grid usage at a consistent level and can help stabilize it. A popular example of Bitcoin mining being used to help stabilize the grid is with another company in Texas called Riot Platforms, based in Rockdale. Texas operates its own independent, deregulated energy grid managed by ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, a nonprofit corporation, not a government, but overseen by state regulators, not the federal government. Many businesses, including Riot, buy fixed price power in a purchase contract, locking in electricity at a set rate. During times of grid stress in 2022 and 2023, Riot sold back some of the energy they bought to the grid. In August 2023, Riot received $24.2 million in power credits and $7.4 million in demand response credits for curtailing, which just means selling back energy you locked in instead of using it. Riot CEO Jason Les said, "August was a landmark month for Riot in showcasing the benefits of our unique power strategy. The effects of these credits significantly lower Riot's cost to mine Bitcoin and are a key element in making Riot one of the lowest cost producers of Bitcoin in the industry." The relationship between ERCOT and Bitcoin miners is mutually beneficial, and the agency, with its demand response programs, pays miners to power down during times of heavy load to reduce the stress on the grid. It then lets miners use excess power when there's too much supply. This keeps electricity prices more consistent. Brandon Avanahi, a Bitcoin mining engineer, said, "All you have to do is pay the miners slightly more than what they would have made mining for Bitcoin that hour." Bitcoin miners that don't cut deals with ERCOT often still power down during peak consumption when energy prices go up. The instant mining becomes not profitable, they can shut down. Unlike power plants that can't be easily scaled up or down, Bitcoin miners can. Now what about e-waste? Mining equipment usually only lasts 5 to 7 years, but is only profitable for 2 to 4 years. So there's a lot of inventory turnover. The Cambridge report from 2024 found that 24% of miners say that they have a recycling program for decommissioned or replaced mining equipment. 75% of miners repurpose, sell, or donate outdated mining equipment for secondary use or refurbishment. 25% say they have no current plan but are currently evaluating strategies for recycling or responsible disposal. Just 3% said that they don't have a dedicated plan for recycling or responsible disposal. The report also finds that 13% of the expected hardware retirements could be considered non-recycled e-waste. Translating this to estimated tonnage based on survey data and a set of simplifying assumptions results in approximately 2.3 kilotons of e-waste in 2024. In comparison to total global e-waste in 2024 of 62,000 kilotons, Bitcoin mining is just a rounding error. AI e-waste sits around 1.5 kilotons, similar to Bitcoin mining. Early predictions suggested that this could balloon to nearly 1,200 kilotons of e-waste by 2030. But a more recent 2026 study pushed back hard on that number, estimating a more modest 131 to 225 kilotons per year by 2030 instead. 2.3 kilotons isn't nothing, and mining operations should continue to handle it responsibly as it likely grows. But compare that to where e-waste growth is actually heading. AI data centers alone are projected to produce 50 to 100 times that by 2030. So Bitcoin mining is using more and more sustainable energy, becoming more efficient with the energy it does use, and also doesn't produce as much e-waste as initially thought. Progress isn't the same as perfection though. Bitcoin mining still leaves a footprint in energy, in waste, and in the communities around it. And closing our eyes to that would just discard everything that was laid out. But an industry that's demonstrably more clean, more efficient, and more accountable than it was 5 years ago isn't one that deserves to be frozen in 2018 caricature. It's one worth watching. So Bitcoin mining is moving towards a sustainable future, but the revenue might not be sustainable if people don't do this one thing. Watch this video next to see what it is and how to help fund miners yourself.